What up, Pokenet? In this video, we're taking a deeper look at the Mega Froslass EX deck. This just killed it at the Houston Regional. It had, I believe, two top 8 finishes, several others that finished high in the tournament. So we're going to take a closer look and see, is this something we should be running at our next League Cup or League Challenge? Is it worth playing this close to rotation? Something you can get some points in? So let's go see what's up. It's hard to call it a Mega Froslass deck because it only has one, but let's see what's going on in the deck. So, as said, we have one Mega Froslass EX. The reason this is in here is for its first attack, Resentful Refrain. The reason is it does 50 for each card in your opponent's hand. This is an easy way to get big knockouts. If they're building up big hands, we need to knock out a mega, get 3 prizes. So while it's not necessarily our main attacker, this is what we use to get big knockouts if we're able to. So it's an interesting card. I think when I play this, I use it almost too much, right? I think I'm getting it in the active too often, and then the opponent's able to knock it out and take 3 prizes themselves. So, however, we start with the Mega Froslass EX. Then we have 3 of the baby Froslass with the Freezing Shroud, which is crazy, right? It's doing 1 damage counter on each Pokemon that has an ability, both yours and your opponent's, except for Froslass, during Pokemon checkup. So every time it changes turns, we're putting 10 damage on every Pokemon that has an ability. That's a great way to just start throwing damage all over the place. And again, we don't even care if it's on us because we have ways to get it onto our opponent's Pokemon. So we have 1 Mega Froslass EX, 3 Baby Froslass, and then we have 4 of the 70 HP Snow Runt. So this is a big inclusion now that we have 70 HP Snow Runts instead of anything 60 and below, because Dragapult's still going to be around post rotation. Well, this is even post rotation. This is just now. We need these Snow Runts that are going to stay through that 60 point damage we're getting through with that. So I think the 70 HP Snow Runt makes a big difference in this deck. So we have 4 of the 70 HP Snow Runt to go along with those Froslass. And then again, a big part of this deck is this Munkidori. We're running 4 of the Munkidori. Again, that way we get damage on ourselves that we're now throwing back at our opponent, and we're able just to start building damage up on their board, so we can set up how we want to make things work. So again, this is big. This is one of the main ways this works, is using Baby Froslass with Munkidori, spreading damage on our opponent's Pokemon. So we got 4 of them to make sure we're making that happen. So 4 Munkidori. Another big part of this deck is slowing our opponent down. So we're going to be Bedewing them, trying to slow them down so we're able to throw damage back and forth, extend turns, things like that. So we have 3 Budew to help us do that. And then we also have ways to make this Budew a little healthier, give it some more HP so it can withstand attack. So we'll look at that a little bit later too. Then we have 1 Ethan Sudowoodo. So this we're using mainly for Impound, which does 20 damage during your opponent's next turn. The defending Pokemon can't retreat. So this is just like Clutch that we're running with Yveltal. This has been really big. This really works well trying to slow the opponent down, right? Get something stuck in the active. The other thing I think is interesting, though, is I guess you could use Try to Imitate for 2 colorless. I don't know if you'd want to, but you could. Which says flip a coin if heads, choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon attacks and use it as this attack. So there's got to be sometimes you're going to need that. You don't have a way to knock out a big Pokemon. Ethan Sudowoodo may come in handy and make that happen. So Try to Imitate could come in handy in certain matchups in a pinch. So again, we've got 1 Ethan Sudowoodo. And then for the last, not the last of our Pokemon, but the last of our attacking Pokemon, we have one Ting Lu, and we're using this for Ground Crasher for 30. And if there's a stadium in play, this does 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So we're essentially doing 30 to every Pokemon. Again, we're trying to spread damage around. This is a great way to do it with this Ting Lu. We're probably never going to use Hammer In. It's 100% to use Ground Crasher. So that's our last attacking Pokemon we have in this one. And then our last Pokemon is Shaman. Again, for Flower Curtain. So we're protecting our bench from damage from our opponent's EX or Vs, not that Vs matter anymore, that have a rule box. So again, this can be big. It can really help us out in certain matchups. Shaman's going to be huge in something like Grimmsnarl. So we really need it. It's going to be big in those matchups to protect our bench from knockouts. Then we're running 4 Lily's Determination. We already know this thing is massive. One of the best supporter cards we have right now. I love this card. I'm so glad we got it. It's going to be fun to play with for the next few years. So we got 4 Lily's Determination. Then we have 4 Ionos. That way we're disrupting their hand, trying to mess things up a bit. So 4 Ionos. No idea why I'm running 4 different Ionos in this deck. I do really like this Iono though that came from the milk carton. I love that one. I think it's such a cool stamp that it has on it. So I love that Iono. I think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, 4 Ionos. And then we're running 3 Arven. Again, it's going to be big to get tools in here. We have a lot of tools we're running. So Arven's going to be really important to get those tools and an item. So we're running 3 Arven and 1 Hilda, so we can get any of the special energies we're going to be running in here, and an evolution Pokemon. Even though we're not running a ton of evolution Pokemon, that's why we don't run a ton of Hildas. But there's going to be an occasion we need a Froslass or Mega Froslass, and Hilda's going to be able to do that for us. So that does it for the rest of our supporters. All right, then getting into our items, we got 3 Pokepad. I guess luckily it's only 3 instead of 4 in this deck. Man, these things are so hard to get a hold of. It's going to be way better now that we got a perfect order, which is actually what these came from, one of our perfect order pre-release building battles that we did. So we got 3 Pokepads. Then we have 2 Pokegear 3.0s. Again, help us find whichever supporter in the top 7 cards that we need and we can use or want to use, I guess. And then 2 counter catchers. Again, get something in the active that we're able to either trap there or we can get a knockout on. I think these go great with that Ethan Pseudo Wudo. 1 Buddy Buddy Poffins. Again, because a lot of our Pokemon are over 70 HP, we're only running 1, but this does help us get Snowrunt and Budews out on the board, so that can really help us get started. 1 Ultra Ball. Again, we don't have very many evolution Pokemon, so we only really need 1 Pokeball or 1 Ultra Ball. Don't need a ton in this deck. And then 1 Energy Search. We're not running a ton of basic energy, but we are running a couple, so this helps us get to one of those energies if we need it to get one of our attacks off, to get it on a Munkidori. So 1 of those. 1 Super Rod. Again, get 3 of basic energy or Pokemon from our discard pile back into our deck. So I think 1 of those is probably going to be enough. And then 1 Night Stretcher. Again, we don't need a ton of these. We don't have very many basic energies, and we have a lot of Pokemon, so we shouldn't have to go get them out of the discard very often. So that's why we're only running 1 Night Stretcher. And then I think a huge part of this deck is these 3 Bravery Charms, making sure we're attaching them to the right Pokemon. I played against this deck online just the other day, and I think the guy I played made a mistake and put Bravery Charm on the wrong Pokemon. Realistically, we got to make sure we're doing the math beforehand and make sure we're attaching it correctly. A big one for this is if we can get this on Budew, we now have 80 HP, which takes it out of range um, Soul Rock, also with taking it out of range of Fan Rotom. So this can be big to keep our Budew in play for one more turn. So I think that's going to be really big, and then it also can help us if we're trying to make Munkidori bigger, trying to get those Pokemon to stay on board longer and not get knocked out as easily. And then again, another huge part of this deck is this Techno Machine De-Evolution, which for your attack, for one colorless energy, you're going to devolve all of your opponent's Pokemon into the next highest stage evolution on that Pokemon. So again, if we're able to spread damage everywhere, we got things within range, then we can use this attack, and then we can board wipe. This is massive against things like the Goldango EX. If we can get all those Goldango into 70 damage, then we use this, and then we knock them all out as it devolves. So de-evolution again is massive. It's so huge in this deck. Great way to help us knock out Pokemon and get some board wipes going. And then we have one air balloon. Again, this helps us get something out of the active. We don't necessarily want to retreat a ton, so that's why we only have one air balloon in here. We're probably going to hope we have Budew in the active and we don't have to retreat very much anyways. Then we have 3 Artisan. We want to get these basic Pokemon out and play. Again, none of our basic Pokemon have a rule box or EX Pokemon, so this is big for this deck. Really helps us out. So we got 3 Artisan to help us with that. Our A spec is Secret Box. Man, I just added those words together. So with Secret Box, right, we're able to get any of the things we need to help set up because we're running Arvin. If we're going second, we can get right into Secret Box and start going after that. So Secret Box is the choice for the A spec in here. And then for energies, we're running 4 Luminous Energy. Again, this works for our Munkidori. It's also going to work for our Mega Froslass to attack. So this is a great way to get going with all the Pokemon we have on board. So Luminous Energy is going to be huge. So we're running all 4 of those the most we can. Then we're going to be running 2 Prism Energies. Again, these work on the Munkidoris. It also helps us for retreating, but won't work on Mega Froslass. So that's something to be aware of as you get into this, that Mega Froslass can't use the Prism Energy to attack. So we're using that hopefully on Munkidoris instead. And then we got 2 Dark Energy to finish it out. Again, this is solely for Munkidori. Like I said, that's massive for this deck. The more Munkidoris we get on board, more Froslass, the more damage we're sending back and forth. We want them to be on their Pokemon and not ours. And that way we can de-evolution with them. So this deck does take some strategy. I think you are going to want to play it for a decent amount of time on live to get used to it. However, some of the matchups, this is going to be so much fun to play. Great way to get your opponent kind of off kilter if they're not ready for it. So I do think this is something you may want to play at your next League Cup, League Challenge. Have some fun with it. It's a good thing to play here before rotation happens because we're going to be losing too much out of this to play after, post rotation. However, I do think it's going to be a fun deck. It did great in Houston. Man, it popped up and it was just killing it. So might as well take a look. We also have a short on this. If you haven't seen the short, I'll put it in the description. And then otherwise, go check out some of our other deck profiles. You can kind of see some other things we've been talking about. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. This is something I've already tried on live and had a lot of fun with it. So I think you might as well check it out too and see what you think. But give it some time, right? It's not going to be right away. You gotta get some work going. But as you can see, it can be massive. It can win you a lot of tournaments. So Thank you guys for watching. Have a poketastic day.